During the 16 Days of Action 2022 campaign,
Gosa Girls on Fire and Tech Shack Tactical TV interview ordinary but outstanding women.
Hashtag I am every woman.
In our interviews, we honor outstanding businesswomen who have made a difference in their specific sphere of society to ladies who have overcome horrific gender-based violence incidences.
We believe in action, not activism.
Why are women continually cast as helpless victims?
Bystanders to their own fate, presuming that victimhood is a fait accompli. We are not simply deer in the headlights of gender-based violence.
We can and will stand up for ourselves.
We are not second-class citizens who need special days and men standing up for us.
We say no more.
Activism does not change the minds of predators.
Predators will always be predators, waiting in the dark to claim their victims. Standing on street corners with placards saying that we are against gender-based violence has and never alone make a difference. Take action now, not to be a victim, and be a strong woman. Do not put your trust in anybody else except yourself. Take the example from the strong women in these interviews and be a warrior. Hashtag victim no longer.
Lynette Oxley here for Tech Shack Tactical TV and the 16 Days of Action for Gosa Girls on Fire for no violence against women and children. I'm speaking to Dianah, is that correct? From all the way in Nairobi. Welcome, Dianah.
Thank you so much for having me here.
So, horrific story. There's a lot of information on you on the internet. But firstly, let's start with who is Dianah Kamande today?
Okay, thank you. Dianah Kamande is a mother, she's a wife, she's an activist, and very passionate about the women agenda in holistic. I'm so passionate about women because I am a woman, one, I am a mother of girls, and also I am surrounded by women every day in my nature of work. So that is Dianah. I've gone to school, and I'm passionate because I'm passionate about women and all holistic everything about women. So I decided to pursue governance, women in leadership, and also I decided to further my studies at African Nazarene University, where I have done governance, peace and conflict studies. Yeah,
that is a great CV. Well done. It's so nice to speak to another empowered woman. Can you describe for me what happened to you on the 19th of April in 2013? What instigated this? I can't get behind that. Can you tell me your story?
Okay, 19th April 2013 was is a day that I would hate to remember, but I lived to tell the story. That's the beautiful part of it, because I'm alive. My husband that time, whom we had lived with for 10 years, thinking that he had loved me, and I didn't know it was not love, that he was so insecure about me, decided to come back home. He had bought a sword and had planned to take our lives, kill me, kill our daughters, and then kill himself. So that fateful day, I remember, is a day we had even stepped out together to go for work the way we used to. As usual, he carried my bag to the car, opened the car door for me, all these nice things that women want to be done to them, and especially the young women. Young women want that to be done to them. They were being done to me. But there was a lot of gender violence hidden in that love he gave me, that I did not look at it as gender violence. I did not look at his insecurity as insecurity. Actually, I interpreted his insecurity to be love. So this particular day, he came back and he tried it on me, because we had a wedding the next day for one of our family friends, and our daughters were in the flower girls team. So I decided to come back home early. And remember, I had to make a phone call every move I was taking. That was one of his rules, that before you leave point A to point B, update me. For me, I believed this man loved me. So I called and I told him, I'm leaving the office. I am going to church because we have some preparations for the wedding tomorrow. So I leave office, going to church for the preparations. And immediately I arrived, I had to call him. He had this rule, and I never understood of this rule. In short, he could call it pest, P-E-S-T, going downwards. It was a rule that in that house, you had to say please, which is okay, excuse me, sorry, and thank you. But it's okay, but it depends with how somebody wants to use those words. And for him, he had called them pests. So to him, he seemed like to be a pest to me, but I never understood it that way. So I notify him that I have to that I arrived in church. So there came a time I had to use the word sorry because he called me, and at this time I had left church, taken a bus, going home, the public means, and he called me, asked me, where are you? And I was, every time he called you and you were wrong according to him, you were to say sorry. So I introduced by saying, I am so sorry, I forgot. I was thinking, the way even as a Christian, we are told a woman submit to your husband. Some of these things are not submission, it's oppression. So I am like, oh, I am so sorry, I forgot to call you. And I explained as usual, using the word sorry, one of the words in his rule that he had formed in our house. So he tells me what to go and prepare for dinner. I rush home, find my house help was busy trying to iron, and here I come, we have to prepare another meal. Remember, our girls had asked for rice and beans, and he asked for ugali and fried meat, and I have to prepare now 2 different meals. Thank God my house help helped me, and now he is here, and he is here. He asked earlier on ugali and fried meat. So as I'm preparing this food, then the door is banged, not even knock. That knock that sounds like someone is banging. All of a sudden, I think maybe it's police or somebody who has missed his way. So I am not even that concerned. It's like I try to ignore, but the bang continues. Then I decide to step out. And the children, because they were young, at that time they were 8 and a few months, and the other one was about 4. So they follow me, and we go to open the door for this person. Arriving by the door, the gate now to the main entrance, I see, because there was a mirror up there, the way it was made, I see now it was him, and I'm like, hey, wait a minute, this is a person we went for work together in the morning. He has called me again in the day. What is up? So I open the gate, and he doesn't talk. He enters now through the living room door, found our house help ironing the clothes, never uttered even a word. And he was that kind of a man who really interacted with his children. He wanted to know how the girls were faring, how was their school. So he never went to bedroom directly anytime he got into the house. But this day, he decided to go direct to the bedroom. So as we are told, mostly in the African culture, we believe that the way to a man's heart is through his stomach. I go to the kitchen, warm the food, bring the food. Yeah, bring the food. That nice wife. Bring the food to the dining table, and I go to call him. I invite him for dinner. And the moment I go, the girls follow me again. And they have never seen such a thing happen. So the girls are here, and they tell me, Mommy, they ask me, Mommy, what is wrong with Daddy? And as I'm getting in, they also get in. So I go and ask him, please come to the dining table. The food is already on the table. And he told me, I don't want your food. I'm like, you're the one who even told me what to cook. So the girls again, they ask me now with a lot of curiosity, what is wrong with Daddy today? As we believe in the African culture that a good woman is a woman who will always hide things that are happening and pray to God. And I tell my children, Daddy might have had a bad day at work. So please don't bother him. Let's go to the table, eat, and as we wait. And because they were eager about the wedding the next day, so they were just okay. They ate, but with the same questions. Then after we finish, he had rested, and he decides to step out. And at this moment, my house help tells me, Mama Praise, now referring to me because my daughter is Praise. So you as mother to Praise, have you seen what he has done? He has picked the keys, including the spare key we hung on the wall. And I think I was in this cocoon of interpreting everything to be love. Then I tell my house help, you know what? This is my husband and this is his house. He can do whatever he feels like doing. And that's all the time I realize, most of the time, it's the survivors and the victims who sometimes give perpetrators the authority. Because I think I rubber stamped what he had planned in his mind, though I didn't know. But my house help, out of curiosity, she continued asking until he stepped out. At this time, I am helping her to fold the clothes on the couch. So I'm not even turning to check on what he's doing. So my husband passes just behind me and he steps out, because the way I was standing facing the wall, because some of the clothes were on the couch, which were not being ironed, I could not have seen him step out. But he passed and he left, because that couch was just next to the living room door. He goes and he closes the gate. Now the small gate he was banging, and now he leaves the living room door open. So I just pushed the door and locked it, but I never used the locks because he carried the keys. So he takes time to come back, and I decide to call him. At this time, the girls have prayed and gone to bed. My house help is also telling me she wants to go and relax and rest. So I decided to call him, as my house girl is here still waiting for me. 3 phone calls, he never responded. The final time, I decided I'm not going to call. I dropped him a text message. Then I let my house help go to sleep. I waited for a few minutes, then I also went to sleep. I was woken up by something that was very warm on my face, and I felt pain. That was the time, if you can see, I still have some scars. They have not healed completely, but they are disappearing, because more than 10 years ago right now, I think it's a long time. So I was woken up by these cuts, painful, and something warm on my face. And because of the trust I had in him as my husband, that he cannot harm me, what came to my mind was, these must be thieves. So the thieves have waited and known that my husband has left, and I'm just alone in this house with the children. So they have decided to invade in my privacy. Finally, I decided no. The pain is too much, because I was cut for the first time and then I was cut for the second time. I decided the pain is too much. I think even if they're thieves, they're human beings. I can talk to them. Let me tell them I have some little money in the house. They can pick the electronics they feel like, and then they can leave. Or let me call my husband. So I decided to reach out to my phone on the bedroom table. Some other thoughts told me, no, put on the light using the bed switch. So I did exactly that. When I decided to put on the light, it was shock on me. It was my husband holding a Masai sword. I know you've come here, maybe you've seen those swords.
I've seen
the
them.
ones that, yes, it was
They
the
used them to kill.
two-edged.
They used them to kill the
Yes.
lions.
You know it now. So he was, you see, it was premeditated, because we never had that sword in our house. We are not Masais, because they're the ones who culturally, Masais, because they live in areas where there are wild animals, they are not even asked by the government carrying those swords. But to us, and from the culture that I come from, we cannot carry those swords. It's illegal. You can even be jailed, because it's a weapon. So however he thought and bought this sword and it ended up in our house, I really didn't know. So he had cut me using this Masai sword, and I knew because it was now full of blood. And I asked him, why are you doing this to me? He told me, I'm killing you. Kill the girls and kill myself. And still the same trust, and I'm in disbelief. I decided to sit on the bed. And I sat on the bed, and the next thing he does, he cut me on the forehead. using the same sword. Now, the other one was happening in the dark, and he was using his mobile phone light, you know, the light at the torch we use of the mobile phone. Because he got in when the room was dark and he didn't put it on the light. Now I am here, the lights are on, I can see. And now he cut me on the forehead directly. And because I think the trust, and you know, women, when we love, I think we love with everything. We love with our soul, mind, and body. So that sometimes even someone is hurting you, and you still, the motherly instincts, maybe they get into you and you're like, still stop this. I came to learn later on that I was not supposed to be negotiating with him when it was too late. So I tried to negotiate with him, and he continues to cut me. And when I'm sitting now on the bed, our bed was a bit shorter, not the beds that are high. So when I'm sitting on the bed, now he got the courage to use the sword on me. He cut me on my head. Now, you see, like the way the cabbages are in the farm and somebody goes and starts cutting on them anyhowly. That's how the way he did cut on me. To an extent, I remember he cut me on my ear, and this ear was fixed in the hospital. I'll send you the photos, you'll see. So this made me so sad. And while I'm still there wondering, I decided to play a game. Decided to hide under the bed. Though it was a bit short, I managed to squeeze myself and got under it. And the way he had cut me and the magnitude of the cuts I had, I think he thought this woman is not going to make it. The next thing he does, he takes his phone and calls his mother and tells his mother, "Mom, can you prepare 4 graves? I've killed my wife. I want to kill the children and then kill myself. Prepare 4 graves." I think he never negotiated anything with the mother, because the next phone call, because I understood also according to how he used to refer to different people, because you see, somebody we had lived for 10 years, I knew how he made different phone calls and how he would associate and relate with people. So the next one, I knew it was his employer, because he called her and asked her to get another employee, because he had already killed the wife. At this time, I'm so quiet, I've stopped screaming. And my house help, when he came in, he closed everywhere. So my house help, when she was trying to rescue me, she found a spare key that I had left in my bag in the sitting room, in the living room. So she went, opened the door and tried to get help. But neighbors were not coming. The reason neighbors were not coming is because, you know, we painted a picture of a working marriage, of a couple who is doing well. So he used to carry my bag, open the car door for me, hold my hands, take me to the nearest butcher when we are going to buy when we were going to buy meat, take me to the nearest supermarket. So people knew even if something was happening, it was not that bad. So I am hiding under the bed. He has made a call to the mother, to the employer, to get another employee. The final phone call was to my dad. My dad was told, you can imagine this man who has the audacity to tell my own dad that I have killed your daughter, not knowing even if this man's blood pressure will go up or something will happen. He didn't care. So he calls and even has the audacity to tell my father, my mother is preparing 4 graves. Can you prepare 4 coffins? Then he opens the bedroom door. I thank God he left it open. Otherwise, I would not be having children today. He left the door open and goes to my children's bedroom. Before he goes to the bedroom, the reason I knew he passed by the kitchen is because now I'll get him with a knife, because he was using a sword on me. Then while I'm under the bed, I hear my daughter, firstborn daughter, praise, shout for help. I says, oh, daddy, don't kill us. Now he used the words in Swahili, uuui, daddy, usituuwe, please, daddy, don't kill us. And I said, as a woman, I would rather die than my children. If I die, now I forgot about myself. And I started thinking, if I died, my daughters would have been taken care of by my sisters, my parents, or any other wisher. But I would rather step out as a mother and take care of them and rescue them, because maybe one day they could have asked me, now that they are alive, maybe one day they could have blamed me if they were hurt by their father, asking me as a mother, why didn't I protect them? I am always proud that I was able to do that for them. So I come out of my hiding place, go to my children's bedroom. And the moment he sees me, he was holding the knife now. And my daughter, my firstborn daughter, was facing up. It was a double-decker kind of bed. So my daughter was sleeping facing up. The other one is on the other bed now, which is below, because she was the youngest. And now the other one was just crying. Entering into the room as he's holding the sword, seeing me and the way I had overbled. And he thought I was dead. He shivers and the knife falls down. And he asked me, "You are not dead. So you are not dead, you are pretending." At this moment, my brother-in-law and my sister, now my sister and the husband, they get in. And I always thank my sister so much, because she was barely 2 weeks old when 2 weeks later, after she had gotten a baby. And she got this baby through a cesarean section. You can imagine such a woman using a motorbike to come and rescue another woman. Leave alone the word my sister. It was, many don't do that. I really appreciate her in every interview that I do. Getting in, she was not having enough strength to even rescue me, because she has not even healed her cesarean section wound. So she decided just to pick the young baby. And my brother-in-law is the one who told me, I'm carrying praise, because she was so traumatized and she was clinging on him. Even my brother-in-law was not even able to move an inch, even to hold my hand. So my brother-in-law tells me, kindly support yourself on the wall and follow us slowly. And everybody is fearing, because at this time now he has even picked the sword again. So I am not able to move. I have really overbled. I'm shivering. Then my brother-in-law steps out, and at this time my husband now gets hold of me and takes me back now between our bedroom and the toilet room, the communal toilet room. There was a corridor. So he made me stand by the corridor. And the next thing he decided to do is to cut my neck using that sword. So I blocked using my hand. You can see this hand of mine was fitted in the hospital, because he cut me to the bones. I felt, you see the way you can take a sugar cane and cut it into pieces, maybe using your nail. That's how I felt, because this part of my hand was hanging down. This part was hanging down because he cut the bone. So there was a huge space and blood was just coming out. And he continued, and I'm in long sleeve. He cut down. I am fitted with 7 metal plates to date, because they were not to be removed because of the magnitude of the cuts he did on me. And at that moment, my brother-in-law realizes I'm not in their company. So my brother-in-law comes back. And when he comes back, he is cut on his arm as he tries to rescue me. Lucky enough, he had not come alone. At least one of the neighbors was told it was serious, and he decided to accompany my brother-in-law. Then it's this neighbor who tells him, kindly, because at this point when he cuts my brother-in-law and then he pierces my right side breast. So this neighbor tells him, whatever you're trying to do to her, I'm going to lobby the neighbors and we're going to do the worst to you. Can you stop it? At this time, he's so contented that I'm going to die. He tells my neighbor, but at this time, my brother-in-law already had left, fearing for his life. So he tells my neighbor, I am going to die in this house. And then when I'm stepping out, he tells me, you go die in the hospital. I'm going to die in this house. And true to his words, he killed himself. I was to die in the hospital. He died in the house. I went to recover in the hospital. It took me so long, 2 months down the line, trying to heal, trying to come into terms. Young children who cannot even be allowed in hospital because they were allowing 10 and above. And also the magnitude of the cuts, the way I had swollen, because even the doctors were thinking I had internal bleeding, because he interfered with 5 critical nerves in my head. It was a very sad situation that I cannot see my children. They were traumatized. They saw me in blood. And yet these children, they are not able to come and see their mother, to get proof that their mother is still alive. So it was a lot for me.
There was 21 cuts on your head, am I correct?
But yeah, all over my head and my face combined, all of them, there were 21. So these children are going to meet a mother who has been wounded, a mother who is physical, like I became like physically challenged because I cannot, the way we wash clothes here in our African way, the way we are used to, we don't use the washing machines. So to date, I have to live with someone because yes, outward I appear to be very, very okay, but I cannot do anything. I cannot lift something heavy because he pierced my breast on this side. On this side, I have 7 metal plates living with me. So I cannot do anything difficult. I cannot lift up something difficult. So at this moment, I have to start learning how to live with my children in my condition. I have a sling on my hand. My house help because of trauma and everything. And I still understand her so much. She had to decide to leave. Though she took care of me a little while after I was discharged, she never left my children for the 2 months. And at this point, my house is a house of crime. It's a scene of crime. So she has to live with my children at my sister's place. It was not easy for me. It was not easy. And I believe it's never easy even for other survivors. I always say, I thank God I was surrounded by very strong people. So at this time, my church and some of my friends, they decide, no, we cannot, we are just pastors. We are just leaders in the church. We cannot offer counseling. Can we get her a therapist? I think something that so many survivors miss. I always say it is a very critical stage, a critical moment where a survivor immediately from hospital, you're supposed, instead of even meeting your family first, I think you're supposed to meet a therapist. It worked for me and my daughters. Okay.
To pick up from where we actually left off, we were talking the influence that it had on your children. Can you speak a little bit about that?
Yeah, it had a lot of negative influence, and actually, gender violence has a lot of negative things on our children, and nothing is positive. One, my daughter became a bedwetter, and before I could know it was the effect, I really had tried to walk a journey with her. The way you now start feeling this girl is becoming a big girl, and instead she has adopted a culture of bedwetting. But later on, I learned through a therapist that it was going to go away if only I was patient with her and she was guided. So they developed a very negative attitude towards men. The only men they wanted to see in our house past 6 p.m., it was my brother and my dad, no one else. So it really took them a lot of time to heal, and their therapy, their sessions took a lot of time. Later on, they started dropping in their academics. They started performing very poorly in school, and I was also trained on how to become very patient with them. My level of patience had to increase for my children. When we managed to move to a bigger house, because the whole thing brought me back to zero in life, I became like a beggar. I had to depend on people until I had to collect my broken pieces and start again. Then I had an issue of when we moved to a new house where we had more than one room. If you send one of them, go to the kitchen and bring me something, I would ask the other one to accompany them. And later on, they would start screaming from the kitchen coming back to the living room. So anytime I would see these signs, and I had been told by the therapist, anytime you see something abnormal, something unusual, don't take it lightly, just bring them back or just call me and then we share. So those are some of the things I observed, especially poor performance in school and bedwetting. Those ones took the huge share of trauma in their lives. Their healing process was also not very fast. It was gradual, I think, because they are children, and maybe they could see, because I resorted to becoming vocal, and because maybe they could learn about their children tell them, your mother was on the TV, your mother was talking on radio, and it could still come back to them. So I came to realize it was important also to be asking them for permission anytime I'm going to media. I didn't just assume it was me. I learned it was our journey that we were walking together. It took them a long time, but I think around 2016 August, I was watching television with my firstborn daughter. And she's the one who started telling me, oh, Mom, I think it's time for you also to get as a father. It's time for you to get married. And I was so shocked. Actually, I called the therapist. And therapist told me, you should be clapping your hands. You should be clapping for her. You could have hugged her. I asked her why. She told me, because your daughter has healed. She didn't want to see men. Now she's the one who is giving you permission to move on with your life. So we continued, and by the time she was about to graduate high school, she's now in campus. By the time she was about to graduate high school, then she tells me, Mommy, you know, we are growing up. We are big girls. We will soon leave, want to go and pursue higher education in the US, because she got a friend of mine whom they bonded very well in Michigan, and she was like, I want to go to CMU, Central Michigan University, and you'll be left here. My sister is going to high school, in a boarding school. You are going to be all alone, and we need you to move on. So I learned from them. They moved on even before me. And I think it was a whole process. And the only thing I can say, we have to learn that domestic violence, gender-based violence in its forms, all forms, it affects children in one way or the other. One thing, get them help and be patient with children. They don't reason as we do. They grow, they start overcoming gradually, not the way us we can overcome and tomorrow you decide to move on. Yeah.
So tell me, you specifically now your journey brought you to work with widows. You were treated quite badly by your widowed your husband's family. They took everything from you. You lost your job.
Yeah.
And you decided to make something positive out of tragedy from you being hurt very badly. Tell us a little bit about that.
Yes, I was treated so badly. And when I was still in hospital, actually after my first month, because I went through all the surgeries the first month. After all those surgeries and when I started recuperating, my regular visitors in the hospital were different types of women who had survived violence. I think they were relating with what had happened to me, and women who were widowed. I thought about it and I asked them, what happened to you when you were widowed? Because I learned that my in-laws had broken into my house when I was in hospital and they carried everything. They said I was just a woman. And it was very painful when somebody says you are just a woman, yet you are working. Yet even if you are not working as a woman, I always take being a mother as a full-time job, because it comes with so many responsibilities. And that's why I always talk and say, even women who are not going to report to an office in the morning, they are doing some work. They are preparing the children, they gave birth, they're taking care of those children. Women do a lot of work. So I felt so bad. And when I started asking the women, they were, the way people normalize things. And I felt like, oh, you people are now doing me injustice, because I ask you what happened, because my things have been taken away. I've been called a murderer, and my children have been disowned. And they were like, it's normal. No, it's not normal. It's not normal. I'm one of the people who believe you should never normalize anything that should not be normal. So I told them that is abuse. Whatever you went through is abuse. Whatever I went through is abuse, starting from gender violence, domestic violence on my case, people carrying away disinheriting me, my property, people disowning my children, people calling me a murderer. It is abuse. And they were like, I asked them who talks about this, and they told me nobody. But there are so many organizations cropping up and starting to talk about widows, gender violence, but they're not serious. So I asked them, what do you advise me? And they told me, you heal and move on. I felt it was not time to heal and move on. I felt it was time to heal and bring a change. And I said change was going to start with me. If I don't start changing my community, their mindset, who is going to do that? So it was at that point, after I was discharged, moved into a very small house. By that time I was in my house. still following up with the court case, because the court case cropped. I lost my job. And then now when I moved in September 2013 is when I moved into a smaller house. And I decided to invite some of these women now on a serious note, not the way they used to visit me in my former house, on a serious note, that we sit down and start something. One, I wanted to create a place for psychosocial support. It was a platform. They articulate their issues and we try to get help. So when they started articulating their issues is when I went to Google. Actually, it's my phone that helped me. And I came to realize this phone can be a whole office and it cannot connect the whole world. So I Googled and I realized about FIDA, Federation of Women Lawyers. I just decided to board a bus and went to their office. I told them I'm dealing with this category of women. How can we partner? I decided to go to the Kenya Commission on Human Rights. I visited offices. To an extent, I found myself now in government offices. And this is how I found we are making a positive impact. Just the other day, we have a legal advisor in office. Just the other day, I sat down with her and I asked her, Grace, how far are we in terms of cases this year? And she told me this year alone, we have been able to file 1,156 cases. I asked her, how many have been successful? She told me out of 1,156 cases, we have over 200 cases which are successful. Succession cases, cases of gender violence where women were hurt and we've moved to court and the perpetrators have been jailed. Some of the perpetrators are in rehabilitation because you find some of them is because of mental illness. So she told me we have over 256 cases, 250 cases and above are already successul. I was like, I think we are taking the right step to the right direction. Yeah, because in December, on December 13th, when we launched the organization officially, now with the government in place, we had only managed 9 cases. So if today we are talking about over 250 cases, then, and we don't have the resources to do that, we are just jumping and going telling these organizations, because you're offering these pro bono services. And you know, many other women are also calling them, kindly pick a few cases for us. So we were actually, the other day, we were just discussing, imagine we have our own legal officers offering pro bono lawyers, going to court every day. And our office here, we receive over 20 women cases every day. And crazy. Our office number is open even over the weekends. So it's 356 days multiplied by 20 cases on average. So we have made an impact. I have also been able to draft the first widowhood bill that I'm expecting this parliament is going to pass it. I've also drafted a policy that I've handed to our previous Minister for Gender, who just handed over office this month. I have booked an appointment with the new minister, who has responded and asked me to check on her the first week of December, so that she goes to Christmas holiday knowing where she to pick up on the policy. So I have seen a lot of progress, and I just thank God, not that it happened to me, but I thank God that I turned everything that was painful, not for me, but for women like myself in this country and beyond, because we have 10 chapters of widows in 10 different African countries.
That is an absolutely amazing story. And all I can say is you've decided to take, you talked in the beginning about activism, but actually where I changed the 16 days of activism to 16 days of action. And you've taken action to make a difference in women's, in Kenya and in Africa. I really take my hat off for you, Dianah. That's absolutely fantastic. Thank you very much, and I wish you strength, and I wish you that success in what all of your changing of the laws in Kenya and in Africa, and hopefully we'll keep in touch. Thank you very much.
Yeah, we'll keep in touch. We are soon planning to visit South Africa because we have a friend of ours who is starting something for widows there. Hopefully, our paths will cross.
I'm a girl on fire. I'm not a victim. A girl on fire. I'll stand my ground. Girl on fire. I've made a choice. I stand proud. I'm a girl on fire. I'm a mother, a daughter, a sister, a friend. I'm every woman. I have taken up arms and I choose to defend all that I hold dear. Independent and strong, you will not keep me down. You can't break me. I'm a girl on fire. I'm not a victim. A girl on fire. I'll stand my ground. Girl on fire. I've made a choice. I stand proud. I'm a girl on fire. Countless hours on the range, I am responsibly armed. I am your equal. I've empowered myself. I have practiced and trained. Fear won't control me. With my sisters in arms, we will make ourselves heard. We'll stand together. I'm a girl on fire. I'm not a victim. A girl on fire. I'll stand my